So I've had a lot of big changes in my life lately, and I think that that is what has been bringing on the heightened sense of anxiety that I normally wouldn't have. So just to give you an idea, and it's kind of what sparked me taking such massive action to change. And I'll talk a little bit about like what my day looks like. Um, but so I had just bought a house not too long ago, a couple of years ago. I have a 2 year old and I have a 3 month old. So that like adding to your family, that's a big life change. I've been married for 3 years, but still, it's still relatively new. Um, I started a new job working for a company that outside of owning my own business, I consult inside of the fitness industry for companies and other gym owners and things like that. And so I started a new contracting consulting agreement with a big company. And so that brings a lot of pressure on me to perform in those areas. So I think all of this stuff combined is just your body and your mind can only take like so much. And I think I found that to myself. I've always been somebody that's like, hey, just pour it on, I'll do the work, pour it on, I'll do the work. And I think I got to the point where my mind was telling me like, okay, this is enough. So I kind of had like a breakdown, nothing crazy. But I did definitely like show a vulnerable side to myself and had a lot of emotion and things like that, with some people that I normally never would, but I just couldn't hold it in. And so, um, after that day, I'll call that like my tipping point. I decided like the next day right away, like I'm gonna fix this. Like I just couldn't control, I couldn't control the anxiety at all. It just kind of controlled me, and it would dictate like what I would do instead of the other way around. And so I decided to take action. And the first thing that I did was I reached out to some professionals. I'm always big at like seeking out the best people that um, do this kind of stuff. And so the first person that I reached out to was a guy named Craig. Um, and he wrote a book called The Perfect Day Formula. And so I started working with him one on one. And that made a huge impact. That made a huge impact right off the bat is I realized, and this is something that I hope that you guys would do as well, is I realized that I would kind of just wake up and just do, I didn't have a very good routine, especially in the morning. And because I had the freedom of owning a business and I don't have to go into work, I can work from home and things like that. I thought that freedom was just doing whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted to do it. And what he taught me, and this is in a matter of like 3 or 4 months now, is that structure breeds freedom. Because if I am doing whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it, the chances of me getting everything done that would make me feel accomplished by the end of the day is not very likely. So I'm leaving all of this stuff on the table. And although I might have had a great day, your mind knows if you still have a lot of stuff to get done, right? So it's leaving this burden on me to maybe do the next day and so on. And it's a cycle, you're always playing catch up. You're never really getting like having a big list and getting it all done because you're just not managing your time well at all, or you're not prioritizing, or you're not living in line with what your values are. So that's the first thing that I did. When I had my tipping point, when I had my breakdown, I decided like, look, I need to do something. And I was just doing a shotgun approach. Like I had no idea what to do. I just always brushed it off. Like, you know what, I'll figure it out when I'm older. I'll figure it out when I'm older. And I guess that's now. And so I was actually talking. It's funny because I had some other high performing entrepreneurs at my business, and I was coaching them at the time. And at the same, I remember that this tipping point meeting happened, and I had to go into my gym the next day and meet with these guys, and I almost never, I don't meet with people like that on a regular basis, but it kind of just overspilled. And, they're like, well, how are you doing? How is this going? And it just kind of came out, I'm at, like, think about it. I'm in like this emotional, like, it's consuming me, and I feel like it was going to come out to whoever the next person that I talked would be, and I talked to my wife about it, but she's known about my anxiety issues my whole life. I just don't think she ever knew how bad they were, And so, I talked with these two, and man, it was just meant to be. So they referred me. They're like, man, we go through the same stuff. So that's one of the first times where I realized, like, I'm not the only person that goes through this. And there's more on that coming in the future, with my realization to that. But I think it's really cool because I met with them and they referred me to somebody that they thought would really be able to help me. And it turns out that that was Craig. And the cool thing about Craig is that he went through a lot of the same exact stuff that I did, anxiety and panic and just the stuff that naturally happens to your body. And he found his way out. And I'm like, awesome, because that's exactly what I'm looking for, is somebody that went through it and found their way out, and now he coaches high performing entrepreneurs. And even if you're not a high performing entrepreneur, the mind still works the same. You can still apply these methods and it will help you. So what I learned from him is to create the perfect day. And by doing that, by prioritizing it, like, say, I'm going to wake up at this time, and then I'm going to do this at this time, and have rituals, have a whole morning routine and a ritual. So by the end of the day, you've crossed all of this stuff off of your list. You feel really accomplished. And that is the exact opposite of feeling like you're always running behind. And the more that you wake up and do what you're supposed to do all day and cross stuff off, and how accomplished you feel, first of all, you're way more efficient. And second of all, like, you go to bed happy every night. And that just naturally reduces stress and anxiety. So the point that he really drove home was, keep waking up a half hour earlier until you're tired, and then go back to the other version. So I used to wake up at like 8 o'clock, and then I set it a half hour earlier, did that for a week, set it for a half hour earlier, did that for a week, until I started waking up on a regular basis. Now it's 6 a.m. So it's not a huge difference. It's 2 hours, but guess what I do? The first 2 hours of my day, I spend on just me and my mindset and getting myself ready to conquer the day. So I wake up, I come downstairs, I work out for an hour. I work out, and then I spend time meditating, and then I spend time doing this. I spend time researching my next plan of action on how I'm going to conquer my mind even more, because at this point in time, I'm not even close to being done with it. Like, I want to be on this channel, in however long from now, and be like, hey guys, I don't have these issues anymore. I don't have them. And right now I do. And so I want to obviously have to keep on working until I get to that point. And so that's what I learned from him, is to really set up your perfect day, and live that day over and over and over and over and over again. And that structure will give you freedom. That structure will allow you to feel very accomplished and spend a lot of time on yourself. So I'd spend all this time on myself and working on my mind and all of this stuff before I would even used to be getting up for the day. And then I'm ready to go. So when I start work, I can get a lot more stuff done much more quickly. So at the end of the day, I have all this time to spend with my family, again, making me happy, again, making me feel accomplished. And so that really brought down my general anxiety that I would have throughout the day. And I didn't think it was, because I always thought I was efficient. I always thought I was getting a lot of stuff done. But I think it's more than that. I think it's more than just getting a lot of stuff done. I think it's the sense of feeling in control of your life. So I know what I'm doing all day. I know what I have to do. I know, that I'm going to have X amount of time to spend with my kids and work on myself and develop this. And I just feel way more in control of my life. And I think because of that, your mind lets go of a little bit of anxiety and stress. And so that's the first thing that I did when it came to conquering this mindset that I want to have. The second thing that I did was I started reading aggressively, in both audio and in reading. regular paperback. And I'm learning a lot. So because I've always read, but I've always read about business and strategies and marketing, and I never read about like changing the mindset. I honestly did not think, I thought the mind is what it is for me. And part of what I'm learning about myself is I didn't think the mind was a muscle that could be worked like any other muscle. And I'm telling you, it absolutely is. It was just too abstract to me. Like I can grow other muscles. I couldn't see how you could do that. And now I'm learning that you can. And so I started reading. Some of the books that I started reading right off the bat was A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And that was a really good book to help me realize that there's a lot of stuff that people mentally have to go through, and it could be much worse. And so like your mind, the biggest thing that like it kind of brought home to me was, with a strong enough why, you can endure almost anyhow, and I do have a strong why. And so I will march on, and so I read that. And then I read David Goggins' book, which was Can't Hurt Me. And I thought that was a really, really good book because, again, he's going through the same stuff, and it's all about mental hardening and going through pain and suffering, because it shows you what you're made of. It makes you stronger. A lot of people are weak, and that's okay, but you can do something about it, and you can make yourself stronger mentally, by callousing the mind and by testing yourself, and you'll be super surprised and confident on what's on the other side of that pain, And so that I started reading a lot of books like that, and so on. There's a lot more that I'm digging into. So after I've got into a couple of those books, I had a follow-up call with Craig and kind of talked to him about like where I'm at. And he's like, hey, you should probably go see a therapist, because that is going to help you like get down to the root cause of why this is happening in the first place. And so I did. I'm an action taker. I did some research, and I found somebody that I thought would be a good fit for me, and I started meeting with her. And so I've met with her 3 times now, and every time was great. And I feel like we're really starting to get down to why I have these in the first place. Like everybody has so there's a reason why I am the way that I am, and so identifying why that is a big step towards coming to terms with it and fixing it. And then at the same time, this other stuff that I'm doing is how to manage the present. Like I will attack the root cause, but in the meantime, how do I deal with it now? I'm still living a life. I can't avoid stuff. I can't, I have to perform. I have to do all this stuff. So I'm taking both of those trains of thoughts, and she is helping me with how to deal with like a panic attack, or how to, which is my main concern. My whole life I've had anxiety, but I'm really good now at managing that. And I'll talk more about how I go about doing that, but my main concern now is the panic, which kind of, because it just started happening. It just came out of nowhere like a few years ago, but it's been progressively getting worse. And I think it's because I'm not doing anything about it. Right. So that's why I went to her, is because Craig is really good for like that generalized anxiety, which is what I've always had. But the panic is like, hey, you should, I'm not an expert at that. You should go talk to an expert. And I'm like, all right, I'm totally going to do that. So that's what I'm doing. And she's helped me with starting to figure out the cause of it. And really what we've identified is the fact that I don't like to show vulnerability, which is a big reason why I'm doing this YouTube channel, because before talking with her, I never would talk to somebody about this kind of stuff. I'm just always strong, and I'll get through it, and I'll make it happen. I'll grind it out, and it doesn't work like that for the mind. And I can't outwork it. I have to confront it, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm confronting it right now. And the cool thing is that, I always cared so much about what other people thought, that it's been a gift and a curse, because the gift of that is me building this amazing company and brand and everything, and kind of showing them that, look, I can do this. I am important. I am this. I am that. And it was a huge fire under my ass to like show the world that like I'm not just another Joe Schmo. Like I am great. And so I'm happy that I've always kind of been that way, because it's put me in a position to succeed, because it was such a strong urge to want to prove something, and show people and get positive feedback from my accomplishments and things like that. But I'm at a point now in my life where I need to be done with that, and I need to start moving forward, and everything I do needs to be for my values, not somebody else's. So things like my family and my integrity and my honesty and helping people, which is a huge reason why I got into the fitness industry. It's just helping people. And that's like in living my meaning of my life. You know what I mean? And that's why I need to do everything. So I need to be just as aggressive and push forward and successful, but I need to do it for a whole different reason. The whole reason, behind doing everything for everybody else, that got me here, but it's not going to get me any farther. I won't be happy. I can maybe still keep building something, but I won't be happy, because every single time that an external event happens outside of my control, it's going to dictate my emotions. And that's not any way to live, because there's going to be so much out of my control. And so I need to change my mindset around that. And that's what I'm doing. And so I feel like, so just circling back, that's what I'm working on with my therapist, is identifying that, and why do I care so much, and how do I stop caring so much about not about life, like, oh, I don't really care, do whatever you want, but like, so what? I'm having anxiety right now, like, big deal, like, so what? And I feel like if I can really get to that point where I truly don't care about like what other people think of me, that's going to be a huge breakthrough. And I'm not going to have nearly as much anxiety, because right now I just don't want someone to see me have a panic attack and I'm freaking out and I can't do anything about it. And what, are they going to restrain me, or am I going to pass out? Or like, these are thoughts that go through my head, and like, it's probably never going to happen, but I still, at the moment, I think that it is, and so how do I stop getting so worked up about that and fearing the fear? Right. So I started working with her a lot. And it's weekly is when I work with her. And then I started more books, always constant books about all of this stuff, like basically like Unstoppable, another book by Craig, and I'm reading Man Up by Bedros, and I'm reading man, let me go through my Audible really quick, just to give you guys some examples, because a lot of these have really helped me, to be honest with you. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, that is a book that helped me a good amount. And I just, like, it's, none of them have been game changing. I'm just pulling different things from each one of them that help. Like, I apply myself to it. So those are some of the books that I've been going through. And then finally, I stumbled upon a website called ilovepanicattacks.com. I know it's a funny name, but man, I really related to it. It's a guy from Brussels, and I watched his first video, and I'm like, dude, this guy is describing exactly what I'm going through right now. Like, I really felt, out of anybody I talked to, out of any of the books, out of any of that stuff, like, this guy described it the most, And so I bought his course. It was like $150 or something like that. And it's a 14-week course. He'll let you do 1 week at a time. Otherwise, you'll try to rush through it and you won't retain it. So I'm literally into like day 2. And so far, I think it's really cool. I think it's going to be a huge game changer for me. So that's where I'm at now. That's what I'm doing right now. As far as my current anxiety or panic, it's okay. So I don't like flying because of the whole fight or flight thing. Like that's another. So with me, and just to reiterate, I get panic in any situation that I can't get out of. Like like fight or flight, like flight's not an option, right? So like I've done a lot of crazy shit. I've been to war. I've done all this stuff, but I've always been in control of it, and I've always been able to like dictate my future and all that kind of stuff. So there's certain situations, like if I'm sitting on the airplane, like, and I freak out or whatever, like where am I going to go? There's nowhere to go. I have to ride it out for 4 or 5 hours. I have to. And because of that, it gives me panic, only because I can't go. Like I'm one of those guys that would probably be better off flying the plane, because then I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to land here and then I'll be fine. It's crazy, but that's just the way my mind works. And so I have a flight coming up in a week. So I have to fly to Austin, which is a 3-hour flight. Nothing crazy, but it's already like, it's causing me anxiety, definitely not panic. And it probably won't cause me panic until I get on the plane. But my goal is to have enough tools and enough training by the time that I get there, that I won't have a panic attack, and that I'll feel a lot better than I did the last time I flew without any training or any kind of anything at all. So I've been doing this now for, just to give you an idea, about 3 months, since my tipping point basically. And so working with Craig and the books and the therapist and all, that's been over the last 3 months, and I'm making this channel now. I'm starting this channel now. So I have that in a week. That's the only source right now of any stress or anxiety for me. I've already overcame a lot in the last 3 months. I've grown a lot in the last 3 months, but nowhere near where I want to be. So that's why I'm like, hey, I should get this on tape. And I will keep posting as I go on farther and farther, and any breakthroughs I make or things that I learn. But I'm going to post my emotions and how I feel and all that when it comes to the plane and leading up to it and all that, because that's a big test for me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this part of the video, and I will see you on the next one.